After 8 years of a long wait, we finally got an official release date for Witchbrook, which should be winter of 2025. I'd like to discuss here everything we know about the game and what to expect. Also, later in this video, I'll discuss in detail what's in their old design documents that they shared previously, so hopefully we can predict some of the features and hidden content. But before we start, let me give you an overview if you've missed the trailer or never heard about Witchbrook before. Witchbrook is a co-op live sim for up to 4 players. You will begin by creating your character and starting a new life in the city of Mossport. There, you will enroll at the Witchbrook College for Witches. From the trailer, we can see the world is beautifully crafted, feeling lively and filled with NPCs, animals, and just overall tons of visual interest everywhere you look at. I think there is a clear Studio Ghibli inspiration here, and most specifically Kiki's delivery service, which will be more apparent as we discuss the features next. Witchbrook already confirmed that you can make friends and romance a diverse cast of characters, learn magical abilities, renovate and decorate your own cozy woodland cottage garden, spend your time outside of classes by foraging, crafting, and selling the items you've made, take on jobs from the bulletin board and side quests, customize your character, play with 4 friends, a day and night cycle, as well as weather changes, possibly seasons. Now, I'd like to discuss as well an old 13-page GDD, which stands for Game Design Document, and has a list of features and main systems to be included in the game, which I must say there are very interesting things that they were thinking about. But first, be known that this document was publicly shared in 2019, so please keep in mind that everything here could have changed and are not confirmed at all. I wanted to share this mostly to theorize and predict what the game can look like. And lastly, if you'd like to read this document, please join my Discord server, which is linked down below. I have attached this document there. Right off the bat, they define the themes and goals of the game. Essentially, they wanted to create a relaxing experience that taps into the player's nostalgia by incorporating key school themes and events. Students and teachers will go on about their daily routines with a day-night cycle and calendar, which is already confirmed to still be true, as we've seen that on the trailer. But in this document, they also mentioned a lunar cycle, which should be visible on the UI via a telescope that may tie into magic, quests, and outcomes of certain interactions. We did see a telescope on the trailer, so hopefully this feature stays in the final game because it sounds really interesting, especially the part of affecting certain interactions. I'm expecting herbs that can only be gathered during a full moon, or spells and potions that only work if crafted under specific requirements. They also mentioned a curfew or detention that requires players to go back at 11 PM to sleep in order to move on to the next day. This may negatively affect the player's relationship with professors, which can result in detentions or failing events. Personally, I like the idea of affecting the player performance, as in you can choose and roleplay as a good student or as a bad student. But I do not love the idea of having a set time to sleep. For me personally, this breaks immersion, so I'm hoping they found another solution for this one. But I understand it's a common tactic, like Stardew Valley has it, Harvest Moon games always had it. But for me, I just don't like it, it's just a personal opinion. As mentioned, they did think about events, so I'm expecting something similar to Stardew Valley with Halloween, Christmas, and more, but I also think this could refer to dating events, as well as we seen on the trailer, because we can see the player hanging out with a dateable character here, so maybe romance events as well. They also listed a series of fun and interesting minigames and activities, but again, keep in mind there is no confirmation that any of this will make into the final game, but I think it's still interesting to see what they were thinking about when they were designing the game. So here's the list I compiled: fishing, herb gardening, artifact hunting, possibly similar to Animal Crossing or Stardew's museum, potion making, cooking, wizard dueling, which could be akin to traditional JRPG battles with other students in a dueling club, which sounds amazing. I really hope that made it to the end game. School homework, broom racing, card game, astrology, and wizard chess, which should not be chess as is stated by the designer themselves. Something I found really interesting is the desire to include context-sensitive dialogue and more initiative from the NPCs themselves to start conversation. From reading, what I imagine is something similar to Animal Crossing games where the villagers have a speech bubble above their heads or something like that, and then you go up to them and interact with them. But they also mention dialogue-specific actions that is very similar to The Sims and other simulation games, where you can flirt, joke, poke, or just talk. That would be really cool to make dialogue more interesting and immersive, which I personally think is a huge problem in most sim games, where I play and it just feels one-sided and I end up ignoring my villagers or other residents for entire seasons sometimes. No gifts, no chatting, nothing. In the document, they also have a whole section about locations, and it gives me high hopes because most of these locations seem to have made into the final game, looking at the trailer. Some of the locations listed are dorm rooms, lecture hall, greenhouse, potions room, diner hall, school shop, library, astronomy tower, forest, and a village with a cafe, shops, and post office. There is also some really unique and fun places, such as an insect village where you would use a shrinking spell to access, which sounds amazing. There should also be ruins of some sort, and a Selkie house, which would be a underwater homestead. For those who don't know, Selkies are a fae, or commonly called fairies, who look human and can transform into a seal. You could interpret that as a retelling of a mermaid, for example. A bit of a stretch, but it's kind of like the same concept. This is really cool, especially to me, because of course witchcraft is deeply tied to paganism and would be really cool to see more of Celtic mythology elements in a witchy game. That would be my dream, really. They also mention some other unique elements I'd like to mention here, such as the existence of forbidden magic, which could result in expulsion, the possibility to raise your friendship and romance, but also create enemies of NPCs who will start to hate you or just dislike you. There are mentions of a final exam for witches and prom, which could mean that we'll have a sort of endgame and not like infinite time for gameplay. Broom upgrades where you can customize and enhance your broom for flying. And lastly, a magic map that would show you the location of all of the students and staff members, similar to a Marauder's map from Harry Potter. Overall, really fun and cute ideas, and I can't wait to see what made it to the final game or not, and what other surprises they have in store for us. The game only releases in winter, so we'll definitely hear more news during the course of the year, which I'll cover here as fast as I can on my channel, alongside with my usual Infinity Nikki content, of course. Lastly, about the publisher and development, I think it's important to note just a few last things. Witchbrook is being published by Chucklefish, the same publisher as Stardew Valley, which is not the same thing as the developer of Stardew Valley, just keep in mind. But the game took this long because Chucklefish is a zero crunch studio, which means the developers were, hopefully, treated well and had plenty of time to craft the game with love, which makes me even more inclined to buy this game in all of the platforms, which by the way will be released on Nintendo Switch, Steam, and Xbox. It's also been rumored, but not confirmed, that it will be part of the Xbox Pass from day one for free, which is amazing news. Crossplay through different platforms, however, has not been confirmed. They did talk about it and they have mentioned that it's been particularly challenging, so they cannot give a definite answer yet. But I would expect no crossplay, just to be sure. The game will not have a VR support and will be released in English, French, German, Spanish, Japanese, Chinese, simplified and traditional, and lastly, Português brasileiro. And that's all of the information I have found about Witchbrook, or confirmed and non-confirmed, but from official sources. I would love to know what you think and what would you like to see in the game. I cannot wait. I've been waiting for so long for this game. I genuinely thought that it was just cancelled. So it was a very, very nice surprise to see on the Nintendo Direct yesterday. Thank you so much for watching and see you on the next one.
Ryan Little.